Okay, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Sacramento First 5 Commission, and I want to welcome everyone to today's meeting of Monday, October 7th. And Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and establish a quorum?
Yes, sir. Chair Serna.
Here.
Commissioner Wesley. Here. Oh, there she is. Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia.
Here.
Commissioner Gordon is out today. Commissioner Casirier.
Here.
Commissioner Katari.
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy is not here. Commissioner Hassett.
Here.
Commissioner Williams. Okay, not here. Commissioner Evans.
Here.
Commissioner Gross is also out today. Commissioner Callejas.
Here.
Commissioner Moak.
Here.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have quorum.
Very good. Will you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, again, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's commission meeting. Do you want to read our statement, please?
Yes, please. This meeting of the First 5 Sacramento Commission is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel, on the Comcast and DirecTV UVerse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays Monday, October 14th at 1 p.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/MetroCable14.
Very good. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone and remind those that wish to address the commission, you're certainly welcome to do so. We ask that you complete a speaker slip and hand it to our clerk. You will be called to the podium in the order I receive those slips. We ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes so that everyone who wishes to address the commission has that opportunity. So with that, I would like us to go into our agenda. What is our first item?
Item number 1 is the approval of August 5th, 2024 draft action summary.
Very good. Commissioners, any changes, any comments? If not, I assume we don't have anyone signed up to speak.
No, sir, we do not.
Okay, then I entertain a motion. Chair will move. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Serna.
Aye.
Commissioner Wesley.
Aye.
Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Casirier.
Aye.
Commissioner Katari.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, very good. Thank you. Now we are on to that portion of the agenda that is the public's opportunity to address the commission on any item not on our published agenda. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up to speak on off-agenda items?
No, sir, I do not.
All right. Then we will move on to item 3. It is a somber item. This is the resolution honoring Dr. Steve Wirtz, and I'm going to ask his daughter Nicole to join me at the podium while I get the resolution here. So, fellow commissioners, do I have the mic?
Should be on.
Fellow commissioners, it is indeed a somewhat difficult agenda item today. It's not one that we ever wanted to have, but nonetheless, we are in the absence of a great contributor, a longtime contributor, not just to the First 5 Commission, but to the broader mission in our entire community of childhood development and progress in terms of the health and well-being of children in our county, in our region. It came as a great surprise, I think, to every one of us that Dr. Steve Wirtz was even ill, and that when he passed, certainly left us all very taken aback, shocked. And we wanted to make sure that we appropriately honored his legacy here at the commission. And I suspect this probably won't be the only venue where Nicole's father will be honored appropriately, but we wanted to do our best and at least memorialize in word what he has meant to the commission and what he's meant to the community. So I don't usually do this in terms of reading the entirety of resolutions aloud, but I think in this case it's appropriate. So if you will indulge me, I'd like to read this resolution from the Sacramento First 5 Commission, honoring Dr. Steve Wirtz for his dedicated service on the First 5 Sacramento Children and Families Commission. Whereas on this day, October 7th, 2024, Steve Wirtz is being recognized with his posthumous resolution for more than 2 decades of service supporting First 5 Sacramento. And whereas Steve Wirtz was an original First 5 Sacramento architect, steering the vision and mission of the Commission's very first strategic plan 25 years ago, and has been involved in every strategic and implementation plan since. And whereas Steve Wirtz served on the advisory committee providing recommendations to the Commission on emerging issues prior to becoming a First 5 Commissioner in 2013. And whereas Steve Wirtz served as the chair of the evaluation committee, where he worked with our funded partners to advance the Commission's evaluation processes, preserve the integrity of child and parent data, and provide analytical feedback on the development of numerous evaluation reports. And whereas Steve Wirtz spent the majority of his career at the California Department of Public Health, focused on statewide evaluation efforts for life-saving maternal and infant health programs while implementing critical system change initiatives. And whereas Steve Wirtz worked tirelessly to uplift the vision of First 5, to promote optimal health and development, narrow disparities, and improve the lives of all children prenatal through age 5 and their families. And whereas Steve Wirtz was integral on the development of the Commission's racial equity and social justice resolution, thus reinforcing First 5's commitment to address institutional and structural racism. And whereas Steve Wirtz's passion and leadership, professional expertise, and community experience serving the most vulnerable populations made a significant difference, and his contribution and legacy to the Sacramento community will not be forgotten. Now, therefore, be it resolved that First 5 Sacramento hereby extends its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Steve Wirtz for his steadfast commitment and service. And commissioners and staff will remember the impact Dr. Steve Wirtz made on improving the quality of life for young children and families in Sacramento County and throughout the state. Presented October 7th, 2024. So, again, I think those are very appropriate words that capture just a small portion of what Dr. Steve Wirtz meant to our entire community. And certainly want to offer the microphone here to his daughter, Nicole, if she would like to make some comments. And then I suspect there'll probably be others on the commission and staff that may want to say a few words. But this resolution, Nicole, is in honor of your late father and what he's done for us here in Sacramento County. Thank you.
A lot shorter. So just on behalf of my mom, Rhonda, who couldn't be here, she's out of the country actually with some other family members, I just wanted to express our deep gratitude for today and for the resolution and for just making space to honor my dad. You know, most of you know he was a data person, but data to him was important because each data point represented kids, represented families, represented a broader community, and so that was never lost. And so I just appreciate the work that you all continue to do in supporting and funding the people on the ground, boots on the ground, doing the work every day to support families and young kids and the broader Sacramento community, and just am pleased and honored to have him honored in this way going forward. So thanks.
I think at this point I'll open up the floor to others that would like to make some comments. And then at the conclusion, what I'd like commissioners to do is join me down in the pit with Nicole to take a commemorative photograph. So I will try and chair from the podium. Who would like to speak next? Dr. Kasiri.
So I'm going to try and speak without breaking down, but I really appreciated his passion and his enthusiasm, and his voice is going to be really missed. I remember a number of times in the when we went for the evaluation meetings, and he had such a thorough analysis and assessment of the report. And sometimes I'd sit back and say, wow, mine is kind of paltry. But I really appreciated his analysis. And like you said, data wasn't just numbers to him. It represented lives. And it showed when he spoke. He brought the data to life, and he spoke in such a way that even lay people understood what he was talking about. So greatly appreciate the contribution that he has made to First5, and he will forever be missed.
Great, thank you. Others?
Yeah, I'll try to. I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm not sorry. I'm sad because it's like a perfect reaction to what he meant, not just to me personally for the last, 20 or 25 years that I've known him, and I'd call him Uncle Steve, and he'd get pissed about that. And I'd make fun of his tie, and he'd get more angry, but in that funny way that he would. There's few people that I've had the chance to know and work with that have that depth of care about their industry. And he was relentless in his pursuit of justice and support for those that need it the most, and would always have a question he would always offer to make something better. And he's been doing that for decades. And he was also a little bit private, I would always try to tap in a little bit on his life and ask about you and your mom. And I don't think I realized that he actually was you're an epidemiologist and sociologist. And I'm like, of course. Of course. And I can't fathom what, you and your family are dealing with, but the impact he made on so many of us in this community, and people that don't even know that he was making an impact on their behalf. That's the thing that probably gets me the most, and that's what I feel like we have to figure out a way to step in and step up for, is to make up for that gap that Dr. Kasiri said. So I know there's a lot of people. Stephanie Biegler behind you back there has worked with him even longer than I have, and there's just so many people in this community that were and are so deeply touched by your dad, and I can't thank the heavens enough that I had that time with him. And now that I get to, a little bit over social media, know you, I'm so happy about that. So my best to you and your family.
Thanks, Commissioner Moak.
Sorry.
Others? Commissioner Kayas?
Thank you, and I'm so glad you're here, Nicole. I got to work with Steve Morso through our prevention cabinet, and he whenever there were data discussions, because I was on the data committee, I would wait for him to talk, and I'd say, I totally concur with Dr. Wirtz. He knew it and was able to put a story behind it that involved children and families. He was always there when I'd reach out, hey, do you have time for a quick question? Of course. And he helped me understand data in a way that we were able to make some systemic changes within CPS. So he impacted the littles through system, which I think is where the most critical and profound changes can happen. I'm going to miss him terribly. I love that this is up. We started that at the prevention cabinet, and then more folks added in. But he will be deeply missed.
Any others on the commission?
I didn't get to know your dad as well, except in my short tenure, sometimes you wonder how much people care. But you could tell he was all in, and he was all in for equity, and he was unafraid. And I think that was a beautiful spirit, and I could tell with his heart. And when you shared, it wasn't just numbers, but it was the people behind the numbers that came through so clearly, and the piece that says humanitarian. Yeah, so we send you love.
Julie.
I'm going to read because I ugly cry, and it's really ugly. So these are just some thoughts that I put together about Steve over the weekend. He was truly a model of what it means to be a servant to the community. I think that from the minute he woke up in the morning, probably until he went to bed at night, he was just always thinking about how he could make the world a better place, especially for those who had the least. Lisa from ASR had this quote, and I just had to say it too. He had a heart of gold, the mind of a genius, and the earnest curiosity of a child. And I just think that so well described him. And that he used those gifts to make us all think and do better every day. His spirit was so present at our last commission meeting, which I honestly think was the first meeting he didn't attend, at least in the 9 years I've been here. But it was really like he was in the room with us, as I had mentioned before. He started with Commissioner Moak channeling him, and then so many people came up and said, well, Steve, Commissioner Wirtz isn't here today, but I think he'd want me to say this, that, or the other thing. And so it was just that, level of impact. That's one example of the level of impact that he's had on all of us. He's definitely a part of the DNA of First5 and so many systems in Sacramento County, and because of his statewide work across the state. His reach and impact are everywhere, and I know that we'll all be mentioning him for many years to come, and it's been my honor and pleasure to work with your dad over the last 9 years.
Beth.
I sat next to Steve for years and always felt like a slacker. He was always taking copious notes whenever anybody was presenting, and he was always, just one more thing, just one more question, just one more comment, and was just so diligent and so smart and could read between the lines with the data and the feedback we'd get, and very sad that he's gone, but proud to have gotten to work alongside him.
I think we have a member of the public that would like to address this. Is that right? You're welcome to join me at the podium here. This is Robin Blake-Scuster.
I just want you to know that I really appreciated your dad. I knew him for a few years, but when I started talking to him, I felt like he understood where I was coming from, what was going on. He knew about the neighborhoods. He was just that person that you would talk to, and he would help you come up with solutions. I looked at him as my mentor because when I joined the First5, I was on advisory, and then I started the evaluation. And he would be like, oh, yeah, that's a good question. Or he would be like, might want to dig a little deeper. So he was like mentoring me for that. And I feel like I should be channeling him when I do the evaluation committee, and I can't slack off anymore. He was just so good and so much fun. I remember some of the little galas and things that we went to, and he was always looking at stuff and just making little comments about how it might improve or how this could do better. And I'm really gonna miss him. I'm gonna be looking like, wait, where is he? Why isn't he speaking in my ear? Why aren't we doing this? So I just want you to know that he's really gonna be missed, and basically, I just love him. Thank you.
So I'll conclude with some personal remarks as the chair. And I just met Nicole, I think as many of you have. Unfortunately, we now have something in common, and that is we have a late father that meant so much more than just what it meant to the family, immediate family and friends, but to an entire community. And so if there's anything I can offer is that you should take some solace in every time you see an occasional news story or public mention of First5, the good work that this commission does, and all the partner initiatives that we're a part of that certainly, as was mentioned in the resolution, is the benefactor of your dad being the architect of much of that. You should take solace in those accounts as kind of a living memorial of your father's legacy. And, I still mourn my father after decades now, but, I kind of see him everywhere, in different parts of the city and the region, things that he touched. And you should definitely feel the same way about all the just fundamentally important work as it relates to what is the most important part of our community, which is our young people, the youngest people. So again, I wish we weren't here, but I want you to know that as was shown in the emotion here in the last few minutes, that your father really was not just an occupant of a seat. He was, in many respects, kind of the fulcrum of this commission. So please know that as chair, I will certainly miss him. He was kind of my seatmate for years, sitting right next to me, and I got used to, as Beth mentioned, the fact that he was never done speaking. He would. So as chair, I just kind of, I got used to long pauses to make sure that he had every opportunity to get his important words out. So with that, what I'd like to do, as I mentioned, is invite the commissioners down, and we will take a photo, if you're okay with that. Yeah. All right, with that, Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Sorry, item number 4 is the executive director's report.
Okay.
And good afternoon. Whew. We had a really large executive director's report this month. There just seems to be a lot of things going on, and so I wanted to highlight some of those things. Starting with our 25th anniversary, we're doing a Power Building Summit on November 14th, and I hope it's on all of your calendars. We are joining 9 other commissions in our region and bringing together commissioners and key staff for a half day. We have a really great keynote speaker, Dr. Dal Myers. He's a demographer, and he's going to talk about sort of the impact of California's dwindling child population and our birth rate, and what that means for society in general. He's fascinating. Then we're going to have a commissioner breakout panel. Chair Cerna is one of 4 commissioners who will be on that panel to talk about partnerships and leveraging dollars in order to sustain our First 5 programming with our decreased revenue. And Commissioner Moak is going to MC, so we know there'll be some energy in the room. So just thank you to First 5 commissioners for stepping up. Appreciate both of you so much. And you'll get to meet some of your counterparts and really bond together as a group of commissioners, because I feel like you barely get that opportunity to really talk with each other and hear about what's happening in other counties too. I wanted to congratulate Lindsay Dunkel and Alejandra Labrado. They were both acknowledged last month at the county's Valued Behaviors Campaign award ceremony. This month's ceremony was around diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they were nominated by their peers throughout the county. So it was really nice. Commissioner Guattari was there, as well as our county executive, David Villanueva. And also, just as an aside, one of our advisory committee members and PLTI graduate, Alexandria Page, also was recognized. She's an employee at the Department of Human Assistance. I have several ready updates for you. Our participatory grant making process, which we call PGM, I wrote it wrong on my board, PGM, is launching very soon. We have Stephanie McElmore-Bray, so I won't steal a lot of her thunder, but it's really exciting. She was a guest presenter and spoke with our SOS committee and advisory committee to sort of give them the rollout of how things are going to be within the launch, and got some really great advice back from both committees to streamline that and make it even more impactful. Simultaneously, I mentioned this earlier, but through Commissioner Guattari's leadership, the county is working on a community-based organization capacity building project. And the county's looking both internally at sort of the systems and procedures and policies and ways in which we can be make it easier for BIPOC-led and serving organizations to work and receive funding from the county, and simultaneously looking at what do those agencies need in the way of capacity building and TA to get them to the funding table as well. And a CBO landscape analysis study was completed a few months ago, and we have all just been working at various committees. I don't know how many committees. There are a lot of committees based on the recommendations that came out of that study. And First 5 staff participated on 3 of those committees, and we just presented the recommendations to the deputy county executives last week. And then some of those will be going forward to our county exec to see what gets approved and implemented, and changes will be underway to make us better partners. And all of that work really complements our own participatory grant making process at First 5. So that's why I wanted to keep you abreast of both sides are happening. I have a Parent Leadership Training Institute. We're recruiting now for our next cohort, which is going to be Spanish language cohort. that will take place in Valley High in January. We would love to have an English language cohort. We don't have the money right now to do that. We have enough in our current strategic plan to have one cohort per year. But if you have ideas, we are doing a little grant writing. We're always searching for additional dollars to do a second one. So please reach out or let me know if you have any suggestions. Along the lines of parent leadership is our FAMNet Academy is launched. FAMNet stands for Family Advocacy and Mentoring Network. It's a 12-week online course and is great for parents who can't commit to a whole 25-week PLTI, but can do it online. And we actually are going to have a cohort for our online group. We're going to meet in person. We're going to have some snacks. We're going to go through like the first 4 sections and then the next 4 sections, so they still can feel like they're in it with other parents. And again, pulling people out of isolation, having them meet and connect. So that's exciting. And then in your packet, there's 2 examples of our PLTI alumni doing good things out in community. Kaliashi Jackson received an award from Molina Health, the Community Champion Award, and she gets $5,000 to put toward a nonprofit of her choice, which is really cool. And Robin Battle from the second cohort just opened her little free library over in Del Paso Heights. So really cool stuff happening there. I wanted to touch on our Black ECE conference. Commissioner Wesley is a founder of Black ECE and the catalyst really behind the first ever Black ECE conference, which actually a symposium on policy, practice, and research. In addition to planning, she also served, I think, on 3 different panels and was to be seen everywhere, I believe. Lindsay Dunkel, our First5 early childhood learning director, attended that, and she was blown away by just the level of insight, the folks who were in the presentations and all of the resources that were available, and really brought home to me that connection that we could and should be doing a little bit more to support our Black early childhood educators and work with our countywide child care coalition to do some of that work. And I didn't know if you wanted to say anything, Commissioner Wesley, just about the...
Yeah, I'll just be really brief. During the pandemic and pre-pandemic, we were realizing there weren't enough support that was like specific to the ECE workforce and to policy issues that's directly on the Black community. So we decided to develop a 10-point plan that is really supporting family, the ECE workforce, children, and then also looking at policy. And so if you go to blackec.org, you'll see the 10-point plan. And we were able, within a year and a half, raise $1 million through philanthropy, working with organizations like Heisens and Simons, working with the Balmer Group, California Department of Social Services, California Department of Education, and they have leaned in our symposium. We were able to bring out Dr. Tyrone Howard from UCLA, and just to help us be a thought partner, we have a group of family childcare providers called Lift Every Voice. And so they're talking about issues that are impacting them around wage disparities. We're talking for our next symposium. We're going to host it in Los Angeles. And it's a statewide symposium that's looking at Black language justice and what it means to be able to hold on to our language, both from the African diaspora, but also just Black language in general. We see it being used in the media, and it's, folks are paid for using Black vernacular, but when we use our own language, then it's broken or it's not seen as cultural capital, but yet folks could get paid for it, and it's in all sorts of like media. So we're working on like issues around that, but we make visits to state legislators, local legislators, and also congressional visits. So the work is being done. It's a unique space, and visit blackec.org to learn more. But yeah, it's a unique space, and it's unapologetically for that community, but funders and state departments and even federal government folks have been interested, and so we're also present in that space and now trying to figure out how they can support it and be a part of it. So we're excited, and we had about a little under 200 folks who were present at that convening. So it's intimate, but yet very inspirational, and we're doing the work. So yeah.
Thank you. Just a couple more updates before we move on. On September 24th, the Sacramento City Council unanimously voted to approve their spending plan for the Measure L Sacramento Children's Fund. It allocates about $6 million a year for the next 5 years. 20% of that was earmarked for a guaranteed basic income program, which we're happy about, for aging out foster youth, age 18 to 25. I know it's not the littles, but it's so important as well. And the remaining funding, which is about $4.8 million, will be distributed to both community-based organizations and government organizations through a competitive bid process. So it also focused on equity tools that the city can use when determining the neighborhoods and populations. So they were very intentional about how they plan to put the funding out in an equitable manner. And just as a reminder, early childhood is one of the 5 priority areas identified in their plan. So we, a group of, so I could say a small group of troublemakers got together and gave them recommendations on what we think was most necessary in the early childhood space. And from the looks of it, they kind of took our language, and so we're really happy about that it made it into the plan. And we'll see what kind of role First5 can have, either as a partner, as potentially a funded agency within to do some cross-county systems improvement work. So I'll keep you posted. What else? I guess I wanted to wrap up and stop talking with some changes that are on the horizon for the Sacramento Children's Homes Family Resource Centers. SAC Children's Home recently announced the consolidation of its Valley High and Meadowview FRCs into one larger FRC focused in South Sacramento. And they are going to be using that larger hub to serve basically the same families, just from both communities, Valley High and Meadowview, now just in the Valley High area. One of the things that their executive director, David Baker, and I talked about was speaking to the community, going and having listening sessions and seeing what that impact might be on families, and then mitigating any of those concerns that were heard. So I know they're working on transportation and all different kinds of things, and they did actually go out and talk to community and just exploring different partnerships, and they are really excited to have a bigger space, more conducive to serving more families with additional services. And that concludes my executive director's report.
Very good. Thank you, Julie. Commissioner Guattari.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. That's a great report. I wanted to just add one more thing to the CBO capacity building, please, just for everyone's knowledge. So we are going to be hosting a series of 4 different community forums for CBOs in November, between the November 4th and 13th. So that invite should be going out today. I wanted to thank Supervisor Cerner, who will be kicking off at least one of those forums for us, because he was the voice, the board member who did ask the board board to make the commitment of the $7 million to increase the capacity of BIPOC-led and serving CBOs. So I wanted to thank him for his advocacy in that realm and his passion for this issue. So I just want to thank the work groups as well. Like you said, people have been working diligently, county staff, for months to bring forward some recommendations of how can we make CBOs' lives easier. And so part of those forums will be to bring those recommendations back out to the CBOs to get input to make sure we're on the right path and track for that. So thank you, Supervisor Cerna, and to the whole group.
Thank you. Commissioner Kayas.
Hi, and just to add on to the Measure L, one of the good troublemakers was Dr. Wirtz,
Of course.
who helped inform the littles as well as the GBI program for foster youth. And then just a reminder, I know it's not the littles, but many of our aging out foster youth have littles.
Yes.
Some of our minors have littles, and our whole goal is to keep them out of the system. So it'll be helpful to a couple of generations.
Yep.
Good comments. Thank you. Any others that have questions or comments following the executive director's report? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up to speak on this matter?
Yes, sir, we do. I gave you a slip.
Oh, yes. Mr. Baker.
Correct.
Yes, thank you. David Baker, CEO, Sacramento Children's Home, just to kind of here to answer any questions and kind of provide a little more information if needed. We haven't actually done anything yet, although we're in the process of really consolidating these two locations. It's really part of a bigger plan. First, around sustainability of these programs, but secondly, of building a much bigger and a nicer, actually, hub for services in South Sacramento. So at this new site, we envision doing everything we're doing now at the two sites, but we'll have more room. We'll be doing our PLTI there as well, and we'll have a lot more room. We have there'll be expanded play care there. We have a playground there, a lot of parking, some secure parking, which is nice. And it's really large. It's over 4,000 square feet more than our other two combined. And with our growth that's going on with the Culture Broker program, we're adding some more staff, and the village has really grown with the support of First5 and the county. We don't really have enough room in our other two locations anymore, and we're spending a lot of money to stay in those locations where they're not well taken care of with our landlords and stuff. I don't think they've replaced the carpet since Commissioner Moak worked over there. So I think you were the last one. That's why I say that. So, but it's in terms of some of the things that we had concerns about, obviously, was just making sure that, first of all, most of the work we do is out in the community. We partner with folks out in the community. We do a lot of things with other agencies, but home visitation being our biggest thing with the FRCs, it's all out in the community. But we do have events at our site. We do have classes at our sites, and obviously we have play care and other options at our sites. And so, as you mentioned, Julie, that we've spent some time talking to our clients, to our community. And actually, one thing that's illuminated is that how many of our, I don't think we ever matched up the way we probably could have, is that how many of our families are actually going to both locations already. Mostly because of the village and because of the Culture Broker program that is all of South Sac. They're always sharing what's going on, and so what we found is people just get a list and they just go to the thing that's most convenient for them. But in terms of that convenience, the new location is within walking distance, really, of the current Valley High, and we're about 1.5 miles will be from where we're located with the Meadowview site. So same bus route, you stay on a little bit longer, but we already provide transportation to families who need transportation to either of the locations. We'll be able to continue that. That won't really be an issue, but we'll definitely be able to consolidate and have a lot of efficiencies. More importantly, we'll have room for more programming. I don't know what order you're supposed to say this. Commissioner Kennedy or Supervisor Kennedy was, there's a hierarchy there, but he was out to talk to him, and he already has some ideas about putting some county staff over there, Siobhan, so he might be calling you about that. But and we're going to be able to get this site Medi-Cal certified like our main campus is, and be able to provide some mental health services out of there. And more importantly, on some of the lower level mental health services, like our FIT program, will be able to do direct enrollment through there and have people come there if that's more convenient for them. And somehow the word's gotten out, because I've already had other programs, and kinship care and other programs, wanting to see if I have room for them to also be in this hub. And this is really what we sort of are hoping is going to happen, is that we'll bring others in as well. So that's our plan. It'll save us a lot of rent, which is wonderful, probably $170,000 a year in rent between the two sites. We're going to be purchasing this property, it'll just really create a much nicer environment and a spot for our staff and for our families. And I think it's going to be really when it's up and running, hope everybody can come out. But I think it's going to be a real nice hub sitting in South Sac, providing a variety of services. So without going on too long, I'll just answer any questions if anybody has anything.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Baker? Yes, Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia.
Yeah, thanks for going over that, because I think when folks hear consolidation, we think less services.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that you expanded on that too.
Yeah. Actually, I forgot to add, we even have an exam room there. So we might, we have nurses and things that come in from Sac State. We've had a lot of dental clinics come in. This will make that a lot easier as well. So, sorry.
Yeah, and I'll say that it reminds me of Commissioner Wirtz, because one of the things that I model my commission activity on with regard to him is going out and visiting all of the sites and the different things that the commission funds. As a Sacramentan born and raised, I do see that as part of my commission charge, right? To make sure that folks see that we are actually going out to the places that we fund and seeing what they're all about. And we had discussed Valley High and Meadowview. There are different flavors to those two sites. And, I'm from Meadowview, and so these are different neighborhoods. So just, my echoing Dr. Wirtz would be, make sure that, you attend to the fact that these are different communities, right?
Yeah.
And they're different
I appreciate
flavors.
you saying that, and that's going to be definitely an effort of ours. I actually think we'll have a presence in Meadowview. We'll keep the office there open for a little while, just to, I don't want to have just a sign that says we move down the road. I'd rather have people there to greet and make sure that people get the services that they need. And one thing that's nice about Meadowview is we really have worked on partnering with other folks in that community, and we do a lot of things with them. And I think the key is to keep doing that as well. So I do appreciate that.
Commissioner Chaos.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dave. That's really exciting. Is there a new name?
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
That's a hot topic at
I bet.
at the two sites, right? So because as you know that, and I think you referenced, there's Sacramento Children's Home has its own culture, but each site has its culture too. And then of course you have communities that have a different culture. I think it's going to be a little bit easier just because we already have such overlap, and it's not uncommon for folks from the village to be working with families that are over in Meadowview. I think, I don't know what the breakdown is, but I think it's pretty even. So sometimes they'll just do stuff straight from Meadowview. There's not, they don't make people come all the way over to Valley High if they live over there. But yeah, that's going to be a focus on making sure that there's some sort of, I've been kind of thinking about, like, what do we do best at each location? How do we keep doing those things, right? So, and some of the limitations we have at each location we might be able to overcome a little bit. So, and I remind managers at each that there's stuff to learn from each other, which we already run sort of that way. They meet, all the managers for the 3 locations all meet regularly, and they work on that. But there's still a little different flavor, right? And we haven't decided what to call it yet.
Love it. I'll stay tuned. And also glad that the culture broker continues to grow.
Yeah. And then now we're going to have a little more room for that. And, I'm going to cram in a lot of people in the back there for the village and the culture broker. And it's such a wonderful program that it's going to be nice to see them have a lot more space. So.
All right, any other comments from commissioners or questions? Don't see any.
I'll just add, our board is really committed to making sure that we're keeping these services in South Sacramento going. North Sac too, we have our location there, but And this is really just part of that overall investment. And, you know, we bring a lot of donated dollars to operate these programs, but this is going to be, I envision this as being really the next level for us over there and really creating a hub. And so appreciate everybody's support on that. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
Next item is the Advisory Committee update from August 9th, 2024.
Can you hear me? Oh. Good afternoon, Chair Cerna and Commissioners. My name is Junior Goris, and for the past 5 years, I've represented the faith-based seat on the Advisory Committee and serve as the Vice Chair. I recently accepted a position with Lead for Tomorrow, a First5 contractor, and will be the Parent Engagement Coordinator on the new First5 Parent Partnerships contract. The goal of this program is to ensure that community voice is an integral part of the First5 Sacramento planning, development, and implementation. Working with the community is a passion of mine, and I'm thrilled to have an integral role uplifting First5's mission. The advisory committee met on August 9th, and the committee welcomed new members Keisha Harris and Javeed Hamad, both PTLI alumni from the second season. The committee had an overview presentation about the Help Me Grow program, led by the Sacramento County Office of Education, and members received background data results and participated in a hands-on activity to give them a better understanding of how family advocates work with families, healthcare providers, and the community to improve outcomes for children through early identification and intervention. Our next meeting is scheduled for October 11th, and that concludes my advisory committee report. And lastly, just as a community member, a sincere thank you for your work for the children and families in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Junior. All right, any questions from the commissioners? Don't see any. Anyone sign up to speak?
No, sir.
All right, next item then. Thank you.
Next item, Evaluation Committee update.
We did not meet since the last meeting.
Okay.
Before we go on, I did want to say one more thing about Steve Wirtz, and if I may,
Sure, please.
And his role on that committee. I think one of the things I appreciated, apart from his very thorough analysis of the reports, is that he always pressed us with the question, what can we do better? How can we do better? And a lot of our discussions were surrounding that, and I think we're going to miss that. I'm hoping that one of us will step up to the plate and be able to take on that role, but again, just wanted to say that he will be greatly missed.
Absolutely. And I should say that it's not on the agenda for this time, but at an upcoming meeting, y'all will have the opportunity to appoint a commissioner to that open seat that we now have on Evaluation Committee. And I don't know if I said it earlier, but we will be dedicating the annual report this coming year to Steve Wirtz. It'll have a dedication on it to him.
Great, thank you. All right, if there are no more questions and no one signed up to speak, then we'll move on.
Item number 7, Financial Planning Committee update.
We did not meet.
Very good, thank you. All right, and there's no one signed up to speak, I assume, so we'll move on to the next item.
Item number 8, Systems Optimization and Sustainability Committee update from August 21st, 2024.
All right. I will speak on behalf of our committee. We did meet on August 21st, and we continue to meet about our standing agenda items. We heard from our staff on the policy and advisory activities on the systems and ready work, which a lot of you heard about those updates already here. And then we also talked about the continuing stabilization fund request from First5 Association to First5 California to offset the continuing impacts of the declining revenue from the Proposition 10 decline, and an update on the fiscal 24-25 state budget, which I was at another First5 California meeting the other day, and we were talking about it at the state level, so it's an ongoing ongoing discussion, so we're not alone. And then committee members also provided staff with feedback for planning on our regional anniversary event, and I got excited. We all were excited about that and just was taking different ideas, but we know it's now going to be in Rockland, so that's exciting, but it was good to hear about all the possibilities. We were dreaming, you guys, so we had to eventually get really real and tangible. And then the rest of the meeting, you're going to be able to hear from our amazing presenters. So again, we won't steal that thunder, but we got to hear about participatory grant making from Ms. Bray, and will obviously be providing us that agenda work, but I was also thinking about she should come talk to my organization about this. So I think it's very unique and has a beautiful equity lens. But anyway, it was a great meeting. We meet again next week on the 16th. So yeah, so the work continues. And that's it.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions, comments? None? No one signed up to speak?
No, sir.
Okay. Next item, please.
Item number 9, approve amendment to increase contract with Lead for Tomorrow in the amount of $25,000 to provide stipends for participatory grant-making program.
Very good.
Great. So with this item, I am seeking your approval today to amend our current contract with Lead for Tomorrow for $25,000. Last summer, the commission provided me the authority to execute contracts for our 2024 strategic plan in the areas of parent partnership and racial equity. And a big chunk of that racial equity funding is going out through the participatory grant making process. So that the integral part of that process is to have community input and to work with community to make funding recommendations. And so we want to support our community members who are engaging in that work with us through our stipends. We have a stipend process in place already that you all have approved, and we would follow that protocol. And Lead for Tomorrow is already doing our stipend program for our parent partnership contracts. So this would just add to their current contract in order to do it for our PGM process as well. It would bring their total dollar amount up to $565,000. And that funding is already available within the strategic plan spending plan.
That concludes your...
That does conclude this item.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any questions for Julie? Don't see any. Anyone sign up to speak, Madam Clerk?
No, sir.
All right, we do need a vote on this matter. So I'd entertain a motion at this point.
So moved.
It's been moved by Commissioner Kasiri. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Commissioner Wesley. Roll call vote, please.
Chair Sterna.
Aye.
Commissioner Wesley.
Aye.
Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia.
Aye.
Commissioner Evans.
Aye.
Commissioner Kasiri.
Aye.
Commissioner Katari.
Aye.
And Commissioner Moak.
Aye. How about that?
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, very good. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item number 10, presentation, participatory grant making for the Racial Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Funding Pathway.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hello.
It's always an honor to be here before you. First of all, I continue to be overwhelmed by the support that this commission has for this process and for equity in general. You guys are being quite brave in making this step towards participatory grant making. It's a practice that's more common in philanthropy. There's only one other government agency that's ever done this, and that is the City of New York Department of Public Health. They stood up a process back in 2018 where it was community designed and community led. And they continued that until COVID, but they shared with everyone what they learned And so we have been able to use that as a resource to help guide us as we establish this process for the First 5 Commission. And I also want to give kudos to the team as well. They've done their ready work, and they selected this process as a way for them to start to operationalize what racial equity and investment in racial equity really means. And so I'm really honored and humbled to work with them. They've been wonderful. And I've learned a lot, too, about county government, and about systems. And so I'll jump in without further ado because I'd love to leave some time for any questions and answers that you might have. Before I do, I know most of you know me because I used to live here, and I used to be the CEO of United Way California Capital Region, which is how I met most of you, I think. And so I now am the principal and founder of Touchstone Leadership Group, which is a consulting firm that works with organizations like yours that are really trying to figure out how to operationalize racial equity and build capacity in partnership with community. And so I'll jump right in. First slide. Oh, it's me. That's me. So I wanted to just start again with a definition. And, just so you know, I've had the privilege of meeting with the SOS committee. I've met with the advisory committee. I'll be meeting with the evaluation committee to talk about and continue to socialize the concept of participatory grant making. But I always like to start with a definition to remind me and to remind us of what this is. And essentially, we're looking at ceding power of grant making and deciding who gets the money to the community members and those constituencies that would benefit from that. And so in practice, it's placing those affected communities at the center of the grant making process by giving them the power to decide who and what to fund. And so it really is a next level form of citizen engagement. Because when you think about other forms of that type of engagement, you've got participatory budgeting, which I think is a vital step in bringing citizens and their perspectives in based on their experience, based on where they live and the challenges and the opportunities that they see for investment by government in their communities. Well, this is next level. Because now you're talking about seating a panel of individuals who will decide which organizations actually get the money. Next slide. What am I doing? Sorry about that. It's still me. You see I'm not used to it.
Keeps getting my attention. I'm like,
Sorry
wait.
about that. I'm like, what am I doing? I actually have the power to advance the slides here. Oh, my gosh. So there's some key principles here involving the people closest to the issue. And I know that none of this is new to you all because you've been on your own equity journey as a commission, right? I mean, you declared public health as a crisis, right? And so you engage rather to inform, to foster multi-directional communication. It's really dialogue that you're talking about with community. Making sure that there's equitable participation of diverse people, voices, ideas, and information. And also being mindful of who might be left out of the process. Who are we forgetting? That the professionals, this wonderful team, they're the partners and not the drivers of that public problem solving. And so it requires them to think differently. And they've done the work to do that over the last 3 years. And then be transparent about the decision-making process. And that's where all of us can play a role in terms of helping others who are outside of this process understand what it really means. What are they really doing, right? And so the best practices around participatory grant making, they start with equity, right? Accessibility and compensation. And so thank you for approving the additional $25,000 because we're going to compensate our community members for their experience. They're the expertise They have the expertise. They know what the challenges are, and many times they know the solutions. They may not know the pathway to them, but they know them. And so why not compensate them for that? And then make it accessible. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that means in a second. Allow for feedback and iteration. And so this is the part where it gets a little uncomfortable, right? And I'll talk a little bit about that too. Be mindful of gaps. What are you missing? Make it a safe space so that people can come in and feel like they're really going to be seen and heard and not scrutinized or criticized or judged. Take time for education. Teach them. Reimagine all aspects of the grant-making process. And that means everything from how the RFP is written, and even before that, how do you distribute it? How do you make sure that it gets in front of the people who you most want to reach? All the way up to, so then what does success look like? What are the outcomes that we're seeking? How do we measure them? And how do we make them sustainable? And so how does participatory grant making work? And so for the work that we're doing with the First5 Commission, it's being done in two phases. First is community engagement. And again, I want to give kudos to the team because they've been doing a lot around community engagement, even before the CBO landscape analysis, even with the strategic planning process. It was all about getting input from the community, and the amount of data that they gathered was so rich, from focus groups to surveys, and then incorporating that into the strategic plan is amazing. There's more that can be done, though. And we heard this through the CBO landscape analysis, which we got to participate in. And it was really eye-opening, to hear from CBO leaders of BIPOC-led and serving organizations, what it was like for them to work with the county and to not get funding, to not have the capacity to be able to engage. And so we see this as a huge opportunity through this PGM process. And so we thought, well, why not take what we learned and go back out into the community and have them design the very process for just selecting the panel, right? So that we can ensure that it's accessible, that we're reaching out to the folks that don't normally engage. And I know we heard that as a concern from both the advisory committee, I think all three of the committees we met with were concerned about that. How do we ensure that we get those voices in the room, given what we know about how these folks feel about engaging with the county? Well, we've got a solution to that. As someone who actively participated and did individual outreach to folks, phone calls, emails, a lot of cajoling, some begging, to get folks to come out and participate in those focus groups. Because we know we need that so that we can dig deep and get to those folks that we really want to hear from. And then the second phase is the grant-making process itself. And so that's convening that deliberative panel that we will recruit with the community's input to discuss and award the grants. So here's the phase one timeline. So in late September, we started developing the outreach strategy for community assemblies. That's what we're calling them. We're not calling them focus groups. We're calling them community assemblies. And then this month, we're actually launching the community assemblies. And I'll tell you a little bit about that in a minute. Our goal is that early December, if not before, we'll be able to provide a community engagement report that will tell us, here's how we can recruit this panel. And then we'll start recruiting them. And then in late December to late January, I'm thinking probably sooner, like mid-January. We'll have the panel identified, seated, and onboarded. The assemblies, I'm so excited about this. And so we have one in-person assembly scheduled for Wednesday, October 23rd from 5:30 to 7:30. It'll be at the Arcade Community Center, and our invitations went out actually for both assemblies last week, and we'll have a virtual one as well on October 29th, and we'll provide a Zoom link. We created a registration form, which I'm proud to say is going to be now translated into Spanish, thanks to the team. And we also will be providing stipends, meals, and childcare for folks at the in-person assembly, because we want to remove barriers so that whoever wants to participate can. You know, the other exciting thing that we did was we sent out 272 invitations, and we're shooting for about 15%, which would be 40 people for the in-person assembly. We believe we'll get a lot more for the virtual session, but we're shooting for 40. So, what outreach are we doing to make sure we get the right folks in the room? Well, we took a number of different lists. We used the First5 CBO list, and we edited that because we wanted to make sure we were targeting the right folks. And by that, I mean we want people who are with BIPOC-led and serving organizations. We want folks, and that could be staff, and they have to serve children 0 to 5. Or they could be a community member who's received services from a CBO that serves kids 0 to 5. Or they can be an individual or a business that's interested in serving kids 0 to 5, and again, BIPOC-led, rooted. And they have not received funding from First5. That's really key. They can fit into one of those first three, but they also have to, this is required. You can't have received funding.
Ever?
Since 2010.
Okay.
And we use that milestone because that's where we could see that cliff just kind of, right? It was like precipitous. And that required First5 to really shift its approach to funding, which inadvertently led to some inequity. And so then, so the email has gone out, the invitation's gone out. We are encouraging folks to share that with folks who meet this criteria. We've already gotten some emails and some phone calls, and our firm is responding directly to those to guide folks to make sure that they're eligible and answer any questions that they have. We're doing social media, and we're going to do peer-to-peer. So we're going to do the good old phone calls and emails again, and we're going to be tracking the attendance over these next few weeks, because we want to make sure that there's diversity, and not just in terms of racial or ethnic diversity, but also geographic, right? Sacramento County, you've got a number of cities within the county, and so we don't want it so heavily Sacramento City-centric. We want to hear from folks in those other cities in the county. And we're also asking folks to share it with other folks we may have missed. I mean, I'm really proud of the list. I mean, I think it's amazing because they're not the usual suspects, many of them. But we know that we don't know everybody that's doing amazing work to support kids 0 to 5. And so we are encouraging people to share it widely. What do we need you guys to do? Well, we'd love it if you could come and just observe the assemblies. You're not going to have a speaking role. We just would love for you to come and listen very deeply, and then be advocates for this community-designed process, because it is very different. And I would say that as stewards of taxpayer dollars, we want to be able to tell the story in a very transparent way. And so we are also working with the team to develop narrative. We're working with the team to ensure that we are putting out as much information about it, whether it's going to be through social media, whether it's going to be through the website. We are putting together that communication plan as we speak. And you will also receive narrative and talking points to help you articulate what it is we're trying to do. I am going to continue to visit with each of the committees to provide regular updates on the process. And one of the things that we've done at each of the meetings is we have some asks, some very specific things that you can do to support this process. And so that's it. And I'll take any questions that you might have.
Great, thank you, Stephanie. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Wesley.
Oh, yeah, I have a quick question. For the assemblies, will there be a series of those assemblies, both in person and virtual?
So we're just doing the 2 right now.
Okay.
I mean, we thought it important to have those 2 options. Mm-hmm. We have every confidence that we're going to get the numbers that we're seeking to get that input, and then we'll evaluate it. I mean, if for some reason we don't, which I would be very surprised, we may consider doing additional assemblies, but for now, those are the ones that we have scheduled.
Okay. And then my second question, for the geographic locations that we tend to not reach, what are some of those geographic locations in the county?
Galt, right? That comes to mind. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that was always a challenge for us at United Way to ensure that we were reaching folks, there. Yeah. I mean, that's, one example.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Don't see any. Well, again, want to thank you for your presentation this afternoon. And I guess I do have one fundamental question. How, in a process like this, how do you keep it from becoming just about who you know? So in other words, you have, as you rightly mentioned, taxpayer dollars are being considered. How do you keep it from becoming kind of the Chicago-esque type of process?
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because the team, we talk about this all the time. And, one of the beauties of being a consultant, especially around when you're talking about a process where you've got, $4 million that you're trying to give out, it will bring out, the usual suspects or the who you knows. And so we feel really confident that we can be the bad cop in that regard. And so for example, when the responses start coming back, when the registrations start coming in, we're going to look at those. And we're going to see who's responding. And if we see there's like 10 people coming from one organization that always, sends out a posse, we'll be the ones that will call them and say, listen, you got to make space for other folks, right? We're willing to be the bad guys so that First5 is not put in that difficult situation because they've worked so hard to build those relationships and trust. And so we're going to be looking at every single registration. And we're also going to be looking for, well, who didn't respond yet? We've got this list, and we really want these people to come. So let's send an email or make a phone call to see if they'll have someone in the room.
Thank you. I think that's really important. I'm glad that particular angle is kind of being taken. I think it can otherwise quickly spiral into, and I've seen it happen way too many times, I know you have too,
yeah,
where it just becomes kind of, as you mentioned, the usual suspects, engineering things, and that is not healthy. So.
Yes.
Commissioner Kasuri.
Thank you. Going back to the question that you asked about which areas would you focus on that you observe are not are being underserved right now, and it brought back an experience that we had during COVID when we were working with community organizations in being able to do the testing and the vaccination. And one area where we had a really hard time finding CBOs was in North Island.
Okay.
Very few CBOs seem to be working there, and it took a lot more effort to actually find people that we could work with in that area. So,
Good comments.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because when I was at United Way and we had dollars that we were getting out to families, we were very intentional about and curated a list of communities that we wanted to make sure that we had CBOs represented that were providing services. And it was not easy, but we were able to do that. And so I appreciate you bringing that up, because that's what it takes. You got to be willing to do that a little bit more than just, sending an email. You really got to dig deep, and that's what we had to do.
It's a great comment about kind of the geography involved in this. And as to your reply just a minute ago, Stephanie, about Gulp being kind of a challenge, in all seriousness, I would suggest you reach out to former Supervisor Don Natoli.
Okay.
He knows Gulp better than anyone
I know.
we know.
Yep.
So I think one phone
Thank
call
you.
to him, you can set him out on the task of maybe giving you some suggestions, and I think he would probably be very happy to do that.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Commissioner Moak?
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. It's super exciting to see this, just kind of things flipped this way, a way that can be powerful and empowering to communities in a different way. A couple of things that it brought up for me, I can't remember who to give credit to for the quotes, but it was during some of our, long time ago, our strategic planning for First5. They had put up quotes on the wall, and one of them was, the art of strategic planning is deciding what not to do. I always thought that was one, and I feel like I say that all the time. But also, the other one was the challenge of strategic planning is disappointing people at a rate that they can absorb. I think about that because in some of my time, particularly at Mutual Assistance Network and in Del Paso Heights, we believed very much in asking a lot of questions of community members and people who had been there, residents who had been there, about vision and things that they wanted and needed. And there is an art form to asking people what they want and then allowing them to realize some of that isn't attainable. And it sucks. Like, there's nothing worse than, at the time I was on the outside watching, these residents wanted a bank, a grocery store, an ATM, a market, fresh produce. And it was like the panel was saying, we hear you, we can't do any of that. And there's something really brutal about that. And so I just want to make sure that however we can, use that art. And I mean, you're masterful in lots of ways. I've seen you work. I just want to make sure that people are getting the full context, that sometimes not everything that it's not a letter to Santa, right? Like, you're not going to get everything on your list. Right. And then almost understanding the why. I think is like the important part. So I just want to, I'm sure at some point that'll come back up, and it'll be fun to watch this process through, but just wanted to mention those learnings, I guess, that I've had in my life.
No, and I'm so glad you said that, because, one of the most powerful things about a process like this is that you are actually sharing accountability for the outcomes. Right? And so it's not a one-way process where you go into a community and you say, well, what do you want and need? And they tell you, right? But they don't have any say, right? Or they don't have any means, to even sit down and work in partnership to get those things done, right? And so PGM is, we're doing some movement building here. Right? And what's going to be really important to this process, and I was talking to the team this morning, is we're developing a curriculum. Once the panel is seated, we're developing a curriculum that'll start with grounding them in here's what the system looks like, right? This is what you're being asked to reimagine, right? Because they have to understand the why first, and what is it that you're asking us to change, right? But I'll also say, we continuing to meet with all the committees is going to be absolutely critical, because we're going to be able to bring to you all, like the SOS committee, look, this is a systemic barrier. Can we talk about this? How do we address this, right? Or coming to the evaluation committee and saying, hey, we got this really cool framework for equitable evaluation. It's different from the way you've done it, but here it is, and let's talk about how we can engage that model, right? And then the larger advisory committee, because there are going to be a lot of questions that come up, and we're going to need to engage with the committees around that. And so you're going to see me a lot. You're going to see me a lot. But thank you for bringing that up. And, it's just, we know this. We do. And that's why, we want to be very forthright with community, too, around, what we know is possible, so that then they know what they're trying to reimagine. Yeah.
Commissioner Fernandez-Garcia.
Thanks. So one of the favorite things that we've done, I think, is the PLTI.
Yes.
And I feel very good about that work that we've done.
Yes.
And so I'm thinking about this process, and I'm thinking, you mentioned movement building. So I know that there are communities that are defined by, geography, maybe race, ethnicity, the services that they use. I don't know, different definitions for these communities that may not have CBO representation, or that there are a few, maybe one. And so I can imagine that this process is going to lead to some of these communities saying, we would like to be involved in this grant-making process, but it's not about their CBO having access to the grant. It's about them not even having an organization to access those grants. So how will we handle that if that comes up, if and when that comes up? If we do a good job, we should be hearing from these folks that don't have these organizations to apply to the grant making process. So what will what's our responsibility to activating a community to declare that they need this thing, and what will our response be to them?
Yeah, and that's why one of the criteria on the registration includes individuals who don't have that too. And so we want it to be as flexible and open as possible, as long as they meet the criteria of not having received funding before, and they are a BIPOC community, or part of a BIPOC community. And, I'm glad you brought up PTLI, because I'll tell you, they are the kind of movement builders we want to hear from, right? And maybe they don't have an official CBO, or maybe they don't even have one that they can access, but they know how to move communities. I mean, one of the things that I just will never forget is in the last meeting when one of the parents said, listen, we may not have a lot of money, but we got social capital. And that's going to be absolutely essential to this process, so that we don't leave anybody behind. That's one of the principles. And so I appreciate you bringing that up. And, my response would be, we need to hear from you. We need to hear from you, because there may be some innovation that exists in that community. I mean, one of the criteria of that racial equity goal is to invest in BIPOC-led and serving organizations, both traditional and non-traditional. So they don't have to have a 501c3, but if they have an innovative way to improve outcomes for children and families 0 to 5, let's go. What's that look like? What does that look like? And so we're going to do everything that we can to ensure that this is as inclusive a process, which is why we're asking the community to design it. And we want to make sure that those folks are at the table too. And so the other ask I have of you all is, if you are aware of any of those folks that Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia has mentioned, share them. Share those contacts.
All right, very good. I think all the questions have been asked, and again, appreciate you being willing to not just give us the presentation, but the responses. I think to some of these good questions really substantively explains the deep interest this commission has in making sure that it's a success. Ms. Galelo.
Just wanted to wrap it by saying, if I didn't include you all in the initial invite to the assemblies, I'll send it out now to you so you can get them on your calendars if possible. And I appreciated that the response to Commissioner Fernandez y Garcia's question. So I was like, how are we going to do that? So thank you for having already thought about that. And then one other thing, kind of going back to Commissioner Moak's comment about like the Christmas wish list and Chair Cerna's comment about who do you know. From a staffing perspective, for me and my team, this is such a unique thing because we often feel like the bad guys, like we're put in the middle of agencies who need money, who come and talk to us, who tell us about all these needs, and then we have processes whereby some of those recommendations make it up to you all to a vote for approval, and many, many do not. And this process, it kind of takes us out of the equation, and we don't have to be the bad guys, as Stephanie was saying. Like, we get to lean in and listen and be on the periphery and watch this magic happen. And the community themselves are the ones who are both the good cop, bad cop. They're the ones who are making those final recommendations to come to you. You still have the ultimate say, but it won't be coming from staff this time, which is just such a unique position for us to be in. So,
and I'll say too, just real quick, another really exciting part of this for us and my team that's working with me on this is, we are doing a lot of internal evaluation of the process, because there'll be external, right? Because you want to make sure that, we're getting solid outcomes. But internally, we really want to map how this process is impacting the team internally. And how is that enabling them to bring forward, all the learning that they've done while they've been on this ready journey, right? And how much efficacy, do they have around this? But we'll also be gathering insight from the folks who are participating in designing the process so that we can continuously improve it, right? We want to hear from the community members. Okay, so how did this feel? What was this like? What do you wish? What do you wonder? Right? And so we're going to be gathering, there are going to be specific places along the path where we're going to be asking them to fill out a brief evaluation and tell us. And then at the very end, we're going to do a big kind of debrief with the deliberative panel to get their feedback and, how can we make it better? How did that feel? Because ultimately, we want to continue to do that community trust building with them. And so if we can do that, then that's going to make a huge difference too. And so we'll be reporting on those outcomes as well.
Terrific. Thanks again, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank you all.
All right. Madam Clerk, we don't have anyone sign up to address the commission.
No, sorry, do not.
All right. Then we are at the point of entertaining commissioner comments. Any general comments from commissioners before we adjourn? Before we adjourn, I do want to say thank you to my colleagues up here. I don't say it enough. It's a very different prospect for a county supervisor to be up here when his full-time presence is expected, not just physically, but mentally as well, and in terms of the 24/7 job of being elected to an elected body and serving in a similar capacity for a sister agency. But many of the people up here are dedicated professionals, leaders in their own respects in terms of their daily commitment to their industries. And so I just want to say thank you, because you take time out every month to be here, and sometimes it'll last an hour and a half, sometimes it'll last shorter and longer, but you're here for the duration, and it's not just the time you spend here during a commission meeting, it's all the prep time, the time you take to be prepared and ask the kind of questions you just finished asking. You come here very organized and willing to engage, and it's not just a box to be checked off. So I just wanted to make sure everyone knows that I'm very grateful for the commitment you make to this commission. So that's my comment. With that, if there's no further business before us, we are adjourned.
Thank you.